Hello guys, welcome to my channel. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. If you're new to this channel, you're welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome. So today we'll be drafting this overlap pencil gown. This is the upper part of the front body. So I just drafted my armhole. I took my shoulder measurements. From there, I just went down by 9 inches and drafted my armhole curve. So now I'll be taking my neck width, which is 3 inches. I folded my pattern paper into 2. So I'll be taking my waist measurement and I'll add 1 inch allowance. Please don't mind my tape. So I already took my bust measurements and added 1 inches allowance. So I'm going to connect from the bust to the waistline on a straight line. So I'm cutting out. So from my shoulder, I'll go down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope and connect it on a straight line from the shoulder to the neck. Then I'll cut it out. So right now I'm going to open my pattern paper. This is it. This is my pattern paper. That's the shoulder, the neck, the armhole, and the full length of the upper body. Sorry for my video. Don't really know what happened. It's not that clear. So now from my shoulder, I'm going to go in by 4 inches. I'm going in, you can go in from your neckline where you marked your neck width. At that point, you mark it. I'm going down by 8 inches for my neck depth. That is where I want the opening to stop. I'll be marking 9 inches because I don't have 1 on my tape, but it's 8 inches. I'll mark it at the other part of the neck too. Then I'll rule a straight line across it. So that's the midpoint of my body. So when you fold it, the midpoint. So at the side of my waist, I'll come up by 2 inches. Then I'll mark. So now I'm going to connect from that my neck depth where I marked to the midpoint. That's where that 8 stop. Then to that 2 inches. From the neck, I'll connect to the middle. That is where I draw that straight line. Where the opening is going to stop, yes. Then down to that 2 inches. So I'm just trying to curve the midpoint so that I won't have that sharp edge. So cut it out. So we are going to draft 2 of this pattern. since it can overlap too. So I've cut out the two. This is one and this is the other. You just place it across each other. So that's all for the front part of the upper body. So let's drap the back part of the upper body. Please don't forget to add your allowances when cutting it on your fabric. So I'm going down by 9 inches. That's for my armhole. I already took my neck, my shoulder measurement, so I went down by 1 inch for shoulder slope. So I'm taking my neck width. So from that 1 inches, I'm going to connect it to the neck on a straight line, just the way we did at the front. I'm going to take my neck depth measurement. I took 1.5 inches and I'll connect it to the neck width with a curve ruler. Sorry for the video. So now I'm marking a straight line from that 1 inch neck depth down to that 9 inches I marked earlier. So I'm taking my bust measurement, which is 12 inches plus 1 inches. I'm taking the midpoint of my armhole, which is 4. Don't mind my tape. Then I'll connect it to the bust measurement with a curve ruler. So now I'm going to take my waist measurement and add 1 inches allowance. Then I'll connect it to the bust. So now I'm going to cut it out. That is my back upper body pattern. You cut 2 pieces of the center back body and add your zipper allowance to it. So let's cut out. This is the lower part of the front gown. This is my hip line and my full gown length. So from the waist, I measured downward by 9 inches to get my hip line. From my waist again, I deducted 19 inches, which I used for the upper body. Then I took from there, I marked down my full gown length. So right now I'm taking my hip measurement minus 1 inches. That's for the front part of the skirt. So I'm going to connect it on a straight line. So from the middle part, I'm going to take my waist measurement. That's from the center of the skirt. I'll take my waist measurement plus 1 inch for that. Then I'll connect it to the hip. You can see we didn't add any allowance here. So when we're cutting it on the fabric, we'll add all the necessary allowances. So right now I'm connecting it from the waist to the hip. I'll place my hip measurement at the full length. And I'll connect it on a straight line. Then go in by 1 inch. I wanted going in by 2 inch, but I later changed my mind and went in by 1 inch. So I connected it to the hip line as shown. So now I'm taking my nipple to nipple measurement for my darts. I'll go down by 6 inches. It's 6 inches, don't mind my tape, I don't have one. So I'll take half inch from each side and connect it down to the 6 inch for my darts. Please don't forget to add your allowances 1 inch when cutting on your fabric. And this front part will be cut on a fold. So let's cut out. You cut the front part on a fold. So I've placed the front skirt part on the pattern paper to cut the back. So that 1 inch we deducted from the front, I added it to the back. The length of my front is not that long, so I'm going to add it on my fabric, but the back I decided to get a longer pattern paper. Just placed my front pattern paper on the back, leaving that 1 inches. At the waist, I'm going to go in by half an inch. That's on that 1 inch. I'll divide it by 2. That's mark half an inch. Then I'll connect it to my hip line. I'm going to draw a straight line to connect the hip to the back. So I'll connect that 1/2 inch to the hip line. Which will serve as my curve for the butt. Then from that hip line, I'll go down by 7 inch, then connect it from the hip line down to that 7 inch. So right now I'm cutting out. Taking the lower part of my gown for the front measurement, then I'll place it at the back so as to get the exact same measurement. Now connect it and cut it out. Remember, we did not add allowance. Please don't forget to add your allowance at the zipper part and at the hip part. Thank you guys for always watching my video, for your like, your comments, your subscription. I really appreciate you guys. So I'll see you guys at the sewing part of this tutorial. I love you guys so much. Bye bye.